Well, I should turn on your microphone. Now, how are you?
I'm doing better now.
Yeah, you sound much better.
Yeah. Yeah, good morning. I like a little bit of changes that we have going on
Yeah.
here.
I
The,
love the new theme song.
the new theme song, the new intro to
Yeah.
showing innovative strategies first and
Yeah.
whatnot.
Pulling that in there.
Always thinking,
We're trying. We're
always
trying.
thinking here.
And we did a great job, except we didn't turn your microphone
Well,
on.
that's okay. We don't always need microphones to
Not always.
express and communicate, right?
That's right.
We have
That's right.
different ways. Although on radio, it's kind of important.
It is important. You always sound better when people can hear you.
I like that. Yeah, we went to. So my guest wound up with monkeypox.
Yeah,
No, I'm just
yeah.
kidding.
No, hopefully not.
Because
Right.
there's that's they're reporting cases
That's
every
the
day
thing.
now,
I
and
know.
not COVID.
No.
But my guest did actually acquire COVID today.
Yeah.
Not today, but this week. And,
It's going around.
and it's still going around. It certainly doesn't have the extreme effects that it had before, and thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
But it does knock you out, and some people it's a day or two, and others it's longer.
Yeah, my daughter a few weeks ago had contracted it. She's of course has had her vaccines, all that good stuff. And
yeah,
it's been about 14, 15 days, and she still doesn't have her taste or smell back yet. So
interesting.
Well, I mean, she's condition wise, right? Healthy. She's healthy. She just hasn't retained those.
Yeah.
So she's not showing any other symptoms.
Well, the way you cook, it probably doesn't
hurt. Right.
But yeah, so today I wanted to talk about a situation I'm kind of arriving to right now, and we're about to pitch to angel and VC venture capitalists, investors. We're actually in negotiations with one right now. We'll see how that plays out, but we're fortunate they're finding us before we're actually out there looking for them. And a good position to be in, but we're fortunate enough to know what they're looking for.
Yeah.
What kind of information do they need? And I wanted to kind of do a show on what, once you get to that position, and you want to raise funds, whether it's $50,000 or $10 million, some pointers that I wanted to bring out to help folks position themselves. So I have a little paper here, Prep for Angels. Pitch guide.
Yeah, let me see if I can get that on. I'll share that if you want me to. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Let's see if I can do that. Yeah. So this is a nice little guide for people who are looking to start a business and need big capital.
Yeah.
Or is it any capital? When do you go to these people?
Like I said, you don't go to these kinds of folks for $5,000.
Right.
I don't know what the minimum is. I'm sure there are different ones for different levels, but I would guess that somewhere in that 50,000 and up kind of situation. But because the idea is, don't use your 401k, don't pull the money out of your house. This is a risk.
Don't sell a kidney.
This is a risk. Nothing's guaranteed, and as great a plan as you have, and as much as you think it cannot fail, we don't know what we don't know, and anything can happen.
Sure. Now, when you're setting up a business on that kind of a scale, you're not going to your local bank for a small business administration loan or something like that, right? I mean,
typically not.
Yeah.
That would be nice, but banks like collateral.
Yeah.
Businesses,
they do.
If your business, much like ours, is on the internet, there's not a lot of collateral.
Not a lot of overhead. Right? You don't own a building. You don't own equipment.
Exactly. Exactly. So what you have is you have nothing but outlay of funds, and it's hard to prove what you have to show for it. I mean, once you building a big business, I mean, you have to get people to write your systems. You've got to get cybersecurity. You've got to get even commercial real estate, web design, branding, marketing, finance lawyer, employment lawyer, contract lawyer. You have to think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years out. You want to build now for what you have your expectations are
Hmm.
going forward. And if I build a system where I'm hoping to get 10,000 people, but a year from now I'm hoping to have 200,000 people, well, I better build for the 200,000.
Hmm.
Right. And then I want to build it in such a manner as it would easily be, we can add on for another 200,000 and so on and
Yeah.
so on. And you can keep adding it onto your system so that it can take more and more
Yeah. So
capacity.
in a small business world, a franchise is a that they're the venture capital, right?
Yeah. Franchises are a different ballgame,
Right.
right? You're buying a name.
Yeah.
The branding's already done. The marketing's already done. You show up and you follow a script.
Yeah.
And if you follow the script exactly as they tell you to, and trust me, McDonald's and Arby's
Hmm.
and all
Oh
the
yeah.
other ones, they have very strong uh, scripts
Yeah.
that you have to follow. But and you can make money at it, and you can make some decent money. But I think McDonald's nowadays, if you want to buy one, they tell you have to buy three.
Oh really?
Yeah,
Woo.
because one may not do as well, one might do very well, and then one might be just mediocre or average, depending upon location and things of that nature.
Yep.
So what it does is reduce your risk, but it increases your costs, dramatically.
Yeah.
There was a time owning in McDonald's was a guaranteed $1 million payday. I don't know if that's true or not anymore, but probably for some it is.
Could be.
But yeah,
Yeah.
franchises are a different ballgame. I'm not as familiar with them. I have never
Yeah, well,
looked into it.
I'm just thinking of the capital. I'm going to give you $10,000 to say that I'm a Bill Hasse branch or whatever.
Nah.
But you're footing most of the capital to make the business go. That's kind of what a venture capitalist is, right? They're saying it's like Shark Tank, I guess.
Kind of like Shark Tank. Yeah. I mean, they're going to invest in your business, and there's going to be terms that are negotiated, and those terms can be all over the place.
Mhm.
It could be a flat out interest rate that you pay on the loan.
Okay.
Okay. You could have giving up a percentage of ownership,
Hmm.
whether that be for a period of time or for lifetime. It depends. And everybody has their own idea of what they're willing, how far they're willing to go
Yeah.
and give up.
So when you're doing that now, you say that you have to give up perhaps a percentage or it's a loan. How do you go? Okay.
Well,
And what amount?
so to me, a loan would be a better option than giving up a percentage of the
Mhm.
business. That is if my business model is well done, the numbers are all laid
Yeah.
out, the startup costs versus the maintenance costs going forward. And the biggest unknown usually is salaries,
Yeah.
right? The people you got to hire, but and then your estimated, uh, uh, you know, sales that you're going to do, right? You're going to capture the market. Typically, you say between 3 and 6% when you're pitching, and um, in our case, we're using 3%. We're trying to be conservative, but if you feel you can make enough money to pay that loan back in the first couple of years, that's a better way to go than giving up a percentage of your business for 5, 10, 20 years or
Sure.
whatever you wind up negotiating. Again, negotiations are open-ended. I
Okay.
think every VC is going to probably have a little bit different idea into what they will do and what they won't do.
So let's say that you're venture capitalist. I come to you and you're like, okay, and I'll give you $10 million at 3% or whatever the case over whatever the term is.
Yep.
And my business doesn't make it. Am I still on the hook for that then?
That's a great question. I mean, I don't know.
I
Because you could bring up, can I declare bankruptcy?
Right.
Is it under my personal or is it under my business? Obviously you want to make it under a business, not a
Absolutely.
personal deal. But does it still mean you have liabilities? Yes. As an LLC, absolutely. As an
Sure.
S corp, yes. So nobody likes to lose money, right?
Yeah.
Nobody.
Nobody does.
Nobody. So those are parts of the negotiation you have to talk about. And then let's say, okay, you get the $10 million for 3%. Let's just say, um, but and you believe you can pay that back within 2 years.
Yeah.
Um, there's probably going to be something in that contract that says, okay, I need a little extra because I was planning on this being a 10-year loan and I was going to make X amount of dollars off this over a 10-year period. So if you're going to pay it off early, you might have to pay a little,
early
extra.
closer fee is what we would call it in the banking industry, right?
But yeah, you guys have fancy terms for that too.
But it might be a little bit of juice, like, hey, I was anticipating and making,
it's called the VIG, Just kidding.
Yeah, so that's interesting. But this is again why you want to have a good team and a legal team.
Yeah, you need it. It's funny because I did reach out and say I was looking for a contract lawyer, and I didn't realize that everybody in the world is a contract lawyer that ever went to law school, since that's first semester 101 course. But the reality is there are people out there that specialize in these kinds of contracts, and those are the ones you need to work with. Yeah. They know the ins and outs and those fine prints. Folks, this is your life. You make sure this is done right. You don't just sign whatever comes in front of you.
Yeah. This is big. So with that said, I mean, what are they looking for? I mean, what kind of sale pitch? What is the
you really need to get three things together in alignment, and then I'll go through the steps of that. But the three things are: you need a good executive summary. Okay, executive summary is going to talk all about the various, what your business is, what your market is, what your competition is, what are your sales plans, how are you going to reach your market, but you want also a pitch deck. Okay, so pitch deck's going to get a little bit more into detail about different aspects of your business and the numbers, a little bit heavier. And then of course you want your financials, right? Your projections. And so you have to put together, what's everybody going to cost? So you build this. Basically, I've been calling it just getting the horses in the gate, right? You get everybody lined up. I got my systems guy doing an LMS. We've got the web designer. We got the branding. We got the marketing. We got the sales. We got operations. We got lawyers. And we can go on and on. Commercial real estate. Furniture. Just all the details. And you want to get all those numbers as best you can from these folks. What's it going to cost to get it set up? And then what's the monthly nut, that I'm going to have to come up with? And then from there, you determine what kind of monies you need and what's the time frame. How long do you need that money for before you start seeing funds coming in? All right. So you have to account for that as well. And I would suggest that you add a little bit to it. So we had a gentleman on here, Jeff Schwartz.
Yeah.
Fantastic guy. Calls me up last night, having a good conversation. Really appreciated it. And he said, we're looking for X amount of dollars. So let's just say we're looking for $100,000. He says, why aren't you looking for 500,000? Why don't you ask for $1 million? Would you be better off if $1.5 million or 2 million or 5 million? So he made me think, why not? Why am I asking for what I'm asking for and not more? And I was fortunate because I came up with a good answer, according to Jeff. And he's been through this a number of times. But the answer was I want to take as little as I can, but to be comfortable with being able to get the business off the ground, going and getting it to the point where it starts generating returns, and then maybe a small cushion. But we already know what our annual cost is going to be.
Sure.
So we've already run those numbers and everything. So that's why I came up with a number with my partner Deb and I. We came up with a number that we felt was comfortable. It wasn't asking for too much, because by having more money, we aren't going to be able to build a better system.
Sure.
It just
might put a little more stress on you. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to it's not going to buy us the things that we are looking to purchase with the website and the system and the other aspects to building this business. It's not going to put us in a better position by having more money.
Right.
The only difference would be maybe a little more comfort in that maybe we have more time frame before
Yeah.
the sales start coming in. But so we wanted to keep it at a more reasonable level. And you could argue what's reasonable. But that's kind of how we looked at it.
Yeah.
We,
So I know the banking industry, right? So you say, here's what I need, and the bank says, here's what you qualify for.
right.
Venture capitalist investors don't necessarily say that, right? They're
Not in that direct way.
right. And some may say, you're shortchanging yourself by about this much, so I'm going to give you, or I want to invest a different amount, perhaps.
I'm sure that is a real possibility. And in that instance, you might also want to say, you know what? How about we start with this? And if we need to get into those funds, let's make them available. But if you don't need them and don't touch them, you don't have that liability.
You can earmark those.
And I mean, because there are different types of funding. There are stages of funding, right?
Yeah.
Some might be quarterly, some might be annually. There's different ways to put funding together. In our instance, we pretty much need it all up front, and that's it.
Yeah.
But that's because we have confidence in our market and what we can do, what we're selling, and how we're going to sell it.
Years ago, when I had started the coffee shop, Planet Coffee, back in the 90s, we went to some investors, and it wasn't a ton of money, right? So when we were looking at it, we could get this business up and going for about $150,000.
Okay.
And we had X amount of dollars of our own skin. And so we ended up getting some investors. One was a silent investor. Love the idea. Here's the capital, right?
Yeah.
And I just want this kind of return on it. Okay, fantastic. Another, said, hey, I'm willing to give this much, but I want this much more. Right. And then, of course, we went to a local bank and got a SBA loan as well. Right.
Yeah.
But it's interesting what each one of those investors looked at as far as the part of the business plan, the deck, I think you call it. What it was that they were interested in.
Oh, absolutely. They're all different. Everybody has their own technique, their own style, their own beliefs about how things work. Just you brought up Shark Tank, so look at that. I don't watch the show, but I know there's 3 or 4 people that sit up there and judge you, and each of them have their own agenda. Right? Each of them are willing to make their own deal. One guy says, I want 10%, another guy says, I'll do it. And I only want 8%, so they know their margins.
Yeah.
Right. And there are investors that only look at doing investments that get 50% or more return, or 100% or 200% or more return. There are people out there that way. I know, I've met them. I know them. But then there are more reasonable folks out there. I'm just saying, 20% or 10%. We're a little bit used to, for the last 10, 12 years, we've averaged about a 10 to 14% return per year. So in the markets, and it's interesting that it really didn't matter what you invested in. You could throw a dart and you can make 10%.
Right.
Those days are over, folks. At least for now, for a little while. But let's get into that. Let's get into what do angels look at. And I was most fortunate to have a friend provide me with some little inside information and help, which gave us direction in putting our executive summary together. And some of the things they look at, I know we have it up on the screen, but not everybody can see what's going on there. But they look for, you need to start off with a solid attention grabbing introduction. Wow factor. The pain or the market need.
That's an interesting one right there.
Yes. because what you're doing is you're building the idea, the value you're bringing into that market, right?
Yeah.
So you're not. This is not a sales pitch, right? This is you don't want to go into this thing saying, "This is my baby. Trust me, it's gonna work." You know,
Right.
you know,
Right.
they'll
Uh,
look they'll look at you, go, "Oh yeah, let's change subject then."
Yeah, and I have that highlighted on the screen. If you're listening, just join in. You can look at us on 216 and on Facebook, Bill Hasse on Facebook, or 216 Net on YouTube. Like, subscribe to all of them. But in this, and I highlighted, it says many entrepreneurs think they are selling their product, but in fact, you're selling an investment opportunity. So you need to present it in a way that investors understand, which is different than
Yeah.
here's my widget.
Yes. Yes. That very, very important, different
Yeah.
mindset. Simple,
Yeah.
but different. And because those of us in sales know that when the owner gets involved in a sales pitch of sorts, that's never a good thing, because a business owner thinks that their baby is the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Yeah.
To age myself again, but so some of the things they say, the detail structure, you want to, solid attention grabbing, the painter market need. Um, then you provide the solution, right? What
Yeah.
value you bring to it. You got to talk about the market size. Uh, then you want to kind of go into, okay, what percentage of the market do you expect to get?
Hmm.
First year, second year, and so on, which are CAGR, and which is continuing. Um, what you want to do is typically you'll say I can get 3 to 6%.
Yeah.
6% is being kind of aggressive. But maybe you have the right marketing and branding going on that you're able to reach it and get that 6%. I suggest being conservative on this, but everybody's different.
Yeah.
Everybody has their different idea. You got to talk about the business model. How you're building it, how it's all getting put together. What are your experiences as the owner? And my experience, we're doing financial literacy programs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've been in the financial world for 37 years, 20 years on Wall Street, worked in banks, worked as a financial advisor, worked internationally. So that's a good background. But are there people that have more experience and smarter than me? Yeah, absolutely. But they're not doing this,
Right.
right? So got to go with what you have. And then my partner Deb, because we are doing an e-learning
Mm-hmm.
operation. Deb has been in the e-learning world for 8 years. She's been putting together classes and selling internationally.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So it's a great combination. We have plenty of experience. She's also got an amazing background in business, right? Not just the learning. So, and we don't know everything, right? So we're bringing in what we consider to be very high level people to do certain jobs, developing the LMS, learning management system, to do the marketing, to do the branding, to do the sales. And it's very important to bring in, we want to build this Cadillac style, right? We want this to be the best of the best. We want to bring the best in because we don't want to have problems going down the road, cutting corners now and cheapskating it out now. We want to build it properly, build a solid foundation. So going forward, things are hopefully will go more smoothly and we won't run into issues down the road.
Now, this is a topic that we just don't get in college in business management 210 or 310 or even 410. This is an interesting topic that you don't know, right, until you're swimming in that pool. How do you know who you can trust with guidance and whatnot?
Wow, that's super important. And you learn. You talk to a lot of people, and you start hearing names. You start hearing who's really good and who's not. And for instance, the gentleman that we believe we're going to work with to develop our LMS, we had a great conversation with them. They got introduced to us through a web design guy. And the conversation was these gentlemen each had 30 years experience of what they're doing, and they know how to build it from scratch. Or they said, or if you want to save money, we can piggyback off another system that they had already developed and say, we can use 80% of that system that's already built and then just customize the last 20%, if that works for you. And it's like, I'd rather build everything from scratch and process map that. So we have the records of everything from the beginning going forward. And there's value in that.
Did you make your pasta or did you buy it?
Yeah, right. And because you just don't know the quality until you get there. But but it's a process of just evaluating and talking to hundreds of people. We meet new people every week still. And
so how long have you and Deb been working on this? I mean, this isn't something where I go to the local small business administration office, I get a template, I put together a business plan, quote unquote, and then I go and talk to Mark Cuban. Hey, right? Right? I mean,
yeah, no, you don't. Well, it depends on the business. Depends what you're trying to do, right? So some people are building a business that's local. Okay, mom and pop shop.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're doing it Chicagoland. In our case, we're doing it national and international.
Yeah.
So the scales are much bigger.
Yeah.
Huge. Right. So you've got to think differently when you're scaling up like that. And you really have to pay attention to details.
Yeah.
Because the devil is in the details, and that's where the money is, right? That's where your expenditures are. So you really have to pay attention to the costs and things. Again, meeting a lot of people and getting to know who's best, then letting them do what they do best. Don't micromanage. Don't sit over them. You've made the commitment. Go forward.
Yeah.
Pay attention. Be there to help. But don't micromanage.
Right.
Especially in areas like for tech. I don't know tech. You know that.
Yeah.
I have to trust people. My partner Deb does, and her husband Charlie very well. But it's daunting.
Yeah.
We've been at this for 5 months.
Okay.
All right. So what we're told is we've come a hell of a long way in a very short period of time to be already prepared to pitch. But we've put a lot of time and effort and work into it.
Well, sure.
Having this show and interviewing all these amazing people that we've had here, I've learned a lot from all of them.
Huge.
All of the things I've learned have gone into what we're building.
Yeah.
It's a blessing. And we sit here, Deb and I will be the first ones to tell you that we didn't just come up with a good idea and think, oh my goodness, this is amazing. This is going to rock. The good Lord up above called upon us and said, here's an idea. And you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
You're going to do this. Yeah. And he has continuously put great, amazing people in front of us that have made a difference. And it's incredible. Just the little things, all of a sudden this right person shows up that you were just thinking about you need.
Yeah, it's amazing. And all over the producer's booth here, I've got notes from all the shows. I mean, as we're talking to, venture capitalists and investors, I'm looking at a note. I think it was when we had Deb on, business. Do you have a business plan versus a business strategy? A lot of people, you have a business plan, but no strategy. But some people say, I got a strategy, but no plan.
And then there's people that say, I got it all up here.
Yeah.
I got it up in the noodle. I don't need a plan, because I know I'm so clearly focused. I can tell you that we have become laser focused.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable. Just to be able to just zoom in on any one aspect at any given time. And there's just hundreds of different things to think about.
And I'll give you a quick story. Last Friday, the Dream Home Experts kicked off their new studio down
Okay.
there in Addison.
Yeah.
And I had been there once before to look at the property and whatnot. And then, but I just had the address. I punched the address into the GPS to get down there.
Yeah.
And being a guy from Iowa, I'm kind of used to, once I've been there, I can get there again. So had the plan in my head when I left. Okay, I turn here, I turn here, I turn here, and then I'll get on, 255, and I'll be good to go.
Yeah. Right.
Well, I turned here. It was correct. I felt good, heading in the right direction. This is 10:30 at night, and then I turned here, which happened to be not the right turn. So even though I was making progress,
That's what the little voice keeps saying, you're going the wrong way, turn around.
And so I'm driving around, and the next thing I know, I'm in some sort of industrial park, that my mind is just
I've
going,
seen this horror movie.
Yes, that's what my mind is saying. And being a guy, I'm like, well, if I keep heading in this direction, I should get to where I need to be. And that's kind of the business plan aspect. Now, the truth of the matter is, I spent some time moving, feeling that I was getting someplace. And at today's gas prices, this was a losing proposition. But I then finally said, I've got to turn around, go back to where I made the wrong turn, and then move again. So I did.
Yeah.
And then guess what I did? I turned wrong again. Okay, so I thought
you've got a very poor navigator.
I thought I had righted the course, right? Because it wasn't down on paper. It wasn't the plan.
Did you grow up? Two wrongs don't make a right.
Yeah, but they were two right turns. So then finally I just said, Kent, why don't you just put it in the GPS? You punch home, and this, to take you home. So it did. And a lot of time in businesses, that's what happens, right? I make the wrong turn because I don't have it written down. I don't have a business plan. I don't have a plan to go talk to these investors. And I think I'm moving and doing things right. And in turn, I'm not. I'm busy. I was heading the wrong.
Well, a lot of folks, when they prepare to pitch to these types of investors, they aren't as well prepared as they should or could be. And I'm not saying that we are. We fully understand that we don't have everything down we need.
Sure.
We know that. And we know, but this is a series of meetings.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of each meeting is to provide enough information to garner questions to get you to the next meeting.
Right.
All right. And there could be several meetings. There could be 3, 4, 5, 6 meetings before there's actual funding. So it's a different mindset. It's not a sales pitch, right? It's an investor's pitch. It's what's in it for them, and be careful about telling them what's in it for you and your business. It's what's in it for them, and here's how we're going to roll with this. So you're not going to get it done in one meeting, right? We don't have a GPS, so that's not going to help us out. But you have to go through the experiences, and you have to. I think you need to have that mindset that no matter how good you think your plan is, your executive summary, your pitch deck, your numbers, you don't have everything, right? Because we haven't done this before, right? Not to this magnitude, and we don't know anybody else who has. We've had a number of business owners on here, but I don't know of any of them that have gone to the scale that we're looking to get to and go to very quickly. So, we have to take our hits, but, Roku and Apple want to do a show where they're bringing on some venture capitalists from around the world, and they want us to pitch to them and have a conversation with them. And we're looking forward to that because we're quite sure that we'll get our hats handed to us and a tail between the legs, and we'll learn, and we'll listen, we'll learn, we'll grow, and we'll move on. We expect that. But because if you go in expecting that you're going to get that money on the first meeting,
Woo!
um, you better be selling Viagra. That's the only
That's
only
right.
product I know that would garner that much attention in one
Absolutely.
meeting. But so let's talk a little bit about some other things though. Here they talk about, so we did mention experience in the market validation, but you have to have channels to the market. You have to have market strategy. What's your competition?
Yeah, that's big.
What are they doing? What can you expect from them? And not just what are they doing now, but what would their reaction be?
Yeah.
To you coming on the market. A lot of people don't think about that aspect. Um, you know, who's your team?
Hmm.
Well, in our stage, it's Deb and I. We have team, right? We got all these people in place ready to go as soon as we can pay them and open up the gates, let the horses run. But we don't know the whole team yet.
Right.
So again, that's one of the most difficult things to determine, and that is, what's your overhead going to be salary wise? Because you got to pay yourselves,
Yep.
right? But then I got to bring in head of global sales because we are going to be global. So start from the get go with a global salesperson. How much is that going to cost?
Yeah.
What are those costs nowadays?
Do
100,
do I
150, 200,
do I need to
250?
be bilingual?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. They can talk out both sides of their mouth.
That's right.
But so and you need we'll want a CFO because we want somebody watching over the books.
Absolutely.
We don't want to have to do that.
Right.
We want to be available to support the people we bring in. The leadership is there to support, not to tell folks what to do. It's to bring in the people who already know what to do and then let them do it and help them continue to do well. We'll monitor it, of course, and stay on top of things, but that's our strategy. Forecast and plans. You brought up plans.
Yeah.
Right. And forecast. Yes, we have a forecast going out. We have plans going out 5 years. We have things that we know we want to do and bring onto the market that, do one thing first, do it well, then move on and bring a second product or service out, right? And establish that. Then we can go to the third and the fourth and so on. And that takes time. We have to allow for time. We don't want to pull everything out and try to do everything from the get-go. You will probably drive yourself batty trying to do that, because there's enough to do just rolling one thing out. Trust me. But we do have plans to roll. I could think of 6 or 7 things off the top of my head that we could bring to market over the years. But right now we're focused on the one thing: financial literacy, high school kids, U.S., juniors and seniors. There's 7 million of them.
Yeah.
All right. So think about it. You want to catch 3%, 210,000. How are you going to do that? Okay. And so you break the numbers down from the end and bring it back to the beginning. And now you have your map.
Yep.
And it just, like I said, you get so laser focused, it gets so clear. It's really amazing that I've never experienced the clarity that I have in the past 5 months of what to do and how to get it done, and lean on people that that can help you, that have information that you don't have that you need. Everybody out there is willing to help. The greatest question in the world is, can you help me?
Yeah.
Because I've never met anybody that says, hell no.
Yeah. Sorry, don't have the time.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a sales technique.
Yeah.
That most salespeople don't do.
And those people that answer that question are the ones you want help from. However, there's a lot of people who will tell you, you're doing it wrong, Bill. This is how you need to do it.
There's no end.
Unsolicited.
There is no end in people that will tell you you're doing it wrong, or here's how you should be doing it, or here's how I would do it, or why you, who do you think you are? I've heard it all. You hear it from family, friends, people you don't know, people you just meet, people out there that you get in networking groups, and or people you have
Yeah.
we're having a discussion with a gentleman, and we're just on two different worlds. We're
Yeah.
just completely two different thought processes. I had a total of 4 hours of conversations with this gentleman, and yet he sends me a whole big page of questions about the business, and I'm like, I
We just went over
we went
that.
over most of this, and a lot of this I'm not going to tell you because you're asking for the blueprint to my business.
Right.
I'm not giving you that. He claims, he goes, well, you didn't want to sign an NDA, non-disclosure agreement. And I said, it's a joke. I said, we don't really sign NDAs with folks because nobody would be stupid enough to do everything we're doing.
Right.
It's just way, way more work than most anybody has the time,
Can think
or,
about.
yeah, is willing to put in.
Yeah.
You
The interesting thing too, I think, is as you're doing this, I love that you continually get better and better and better and understand it more. And as you're talking about helping people, listen, folks, if you've got questions about, talking with investors and how to put things together, email Bill at billhaase.com. That's Bill at BillHaase.com. He'll be more than happy, I'm sure, to lend a hand or even send you this investors guide to help you out along the
Yeah.
way as well. And the beauty of it is that's what this show, Innovative Strategies, is all about, is financial literacy, financial education. This is a big piece of what of what financial literacy is in the business world.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
I mean, and it's something, again, that just doesn't get taught. You probably cover it in a book in college, maybe at the 300 or 400 level, that says you're going to have to talk to investors, so have a plan and a pitch ready, and then you may do a mock-up. Here's a pitch.
Yeah, and you don't know. You speak about mock-up. We may need a mock-up website. We may need a mock-up system. We may, again, we're going to learn some of the things we need, but you don't learn this. I mean, where are you supposed to learn this?
Right.
Right now. So I saw something interesting this morning in the news. Baby boomers are spending down their 401ks.
Ooh.
These are all these folks that quit working, spending down their 401ks, their retirement. I've talked to staffing businesses, and obviously we know a problem in the business world is getting good people, and staffing, and because we had so many people walk out in the Great Resignation. But the problem now is now the squeeze is on, because all these people that left and started their own businesses, and there's what, 5+ million of them, and they're not getting the returns that they expected because they didn't know how to build a business. That's what this show was all about, was how to go from concept to hiring the 500th employee, and we're trying to help you learn how to do it. And now I'm using what I learned on the show to build a business, but a lot of folks didn't realize how much it took.
Right.
The hard work, how many different things, how many different hats you had to wear, how many different things you had to think about, how to build it, market it, sell it, get the funds in, and they didn't go with the full plan, a proper plan, and they just kind of half-assed it. Said, well, I'm in the consulting business. I mean, how big of a plan do I need? You need a big one.
You need a big one.
So a lot of these folks are now thinking, all right, you know what, I may have to go back to work because I need income. I'm not making the kind of money I was used to making, and it's not growing as fast as I thought it would and doing as well as I thought it would. So I may go back and do this hybrid type of retirement plan where I'm going to work in the corporate world again a little bit, but I'm going to keep building this on the side until this takes off. Then I can quit again. Well, folks, hurry up, because the corporate world is now seeing the big R in front of us, that recession coming down the road, and that's because they're so slow. They just started seeing it. It's been there for months.
Yeah.
And they're realizing that they're going to be cutting back on staff.
People, Walmart just said they are, but they say that they're doing it by attrition. So as people leave, they're just not going to fill those positions, quote unquote.
Yeah, it's going to happen. It's happening all over.
All over.
And this is a bad combination, right?
Yeah.
Everybody does a great walkout and realize, okay,
Oops,
their dreams are a lot harder than they thought, right? And because it's hard. Building a business there's nothing easy about it.
Yeah, I back in 2019, I did. I walked out. I didn't really discuss that with Alice. So my caveat to everybody out there listening is don't do that to your spouse. Talk that through. Don't just show up one day at home and go, you know what, I'm done.
Well,
I left.
It's hard because you get so frustrated and fed up with work, and those of you who know me know I'm an anti-corporate kind of guy, and I'm not anti-corporate. I'm just anti the way corporations typically or historically have treated their people.
Correct.
Some are still dinosaurs out there, and they're feeling the pain.
They are.
But here we have another storm coming, folks.
We're already in the storm.
We're in the storm, but the employment storm going forward, I know we like to sit there and say, oh, unemployment's only 3.6% or 3.3 or whatever they want to make up the number at this month. And only X amount were, 500,000 new hirees. And it's like, okay, folks, those numbers are all, they're lagging indicators at best. So, you've got seasonal situations, you got other situations.
And that's putting as much gold in the pot as you possibly can.
Right.
I mean, that's painting a picture of unicorns and rainbows and waterfalls.
Yeah. But if you're looking for, if you think you're going to be going back to looking for a job here in the near future, get on it today.
Right now.
Get on it today. Because so I had a wonderful conversation with a staffing woman yesterday, and she was telling me, she's like, she can typically find jobs for high-level people in about 77 days. If they try it on their own, it takes about 250.
Wow.
So think about the difference in loss of pay in between those two time frames.
Yeah.
Right. Loss of income. But
well, I think people have to take inventory. A lot of things that I've read, you're going to see a lot of returned boats, RVs, homes, just because of how excited we were with the Great Resignation.
Well, think about all the effects this can have. Right. Homes. How are home values going to be able to stay up if all of a sudden people are losing their homes now? Yeah, and they don't have the income anymore.
Yeah.
How long can that demand hold the market in the place it's at now?
Vehicle costs.
I'm not saying go sell your home now.
Right. Or vehicle costs. I mean,
vehicle costs, exactly the same thing. We're these dealerships, they're overcharging for everything, right? You don't pay MSRP anymore.
No.
Haven't for a while
you
now.
Don't see below MSRP.
You
don't see that.
You see the commercials for it, right? 0% for 60 months at MSRP. Go find it.
That's right.
Good luck. And I know because I'm in the market soon, most likely for a car. But so I'll have a report on that once that happens. But it affects a lot of things. Like we said, interest rates are going up. Interest rates affect money all over the place. Right? They affect the borrowing and lending of money, right? So credits and debits and loans and car loans and mortgages and all kinds of things. So and money's getting harder to come by.
Now, as we're talking about investors, we've talked a lot about venture capitalists. Now, you have angels as well. Help us understand real quick in the last few minutes what angel investors are and the role they play. It's
really just a different type of group of people. It comes down to that simplicity. I mean, I don't want to get into specific definitions.
Right.
Venture capitalists, it's kind of a business, right? And angel investors might be a group of wealthy folks that are looking to invest their funds.
Got it.
And maybe the market isn't the best place to put your money now.
Sure. An angel may be somebody who wants a different return from a different stream, I guess.
Well, they'll have different criteria.
Okay.
Most likely, and they're going to be very closely related, though. I mean, you
Yeah.
have to do your due diligence. You have to study everything. I think again, the VCs are more of a business-like
Yeah.
group of people and how they go about it. They have their systems, they have their processes and procedures. And I'm not saying angels don't. I just think that angels are kind of a little bit of a different mindset.
Yeah.
And you might go from an angel to a venture capitalist. You might wind up doing something like that. But but what we have here are two options. Like, we had originally looked at possibly getting a grant.
Yeah.
And a federal grant. We learned very, very quickly that was not for us. Being the fact that a federal grant would have, the federal government then would have said, well, we'll give you the money, but we own everything.
Wow.
It's like, okay, well, I'm not doing that. Well, you're just forcing me into being a nonprofit.
Yeah.
And I'm not interested in being a nonprofit. And most people think that grants are for nonprofits only. They're not. They can be for profit as well. You can get grants from the feds. You can get it from your states. You can get grants, SBC, SBA, Small Business Association. There's places to get them. They're all over, but there's a lot of paperwork, a lot of time, and typically it's for smaller amounts of money.
Yeah.
So you have to pick which battle you want to fight. And how quickly you want to get there.
Yeah.
Federal grant can take a year. And if you're looking for a federal grant, get out there right now because June 30th is cutoff.
There you go. And there are people out there who specifically are in business to help write grants. I mean, it has to be very specific to the grant that you're applying for and whatnot. And there are people out there who know that.
I just helped out a friend. PJ Ewing was looking for a grant writer, and we were able to. Carrie Rothbard, who's been on the show, has a friend who specifically works in that arts area. They're trying to raise capital for an art studio in New York, and so I was able to introduce him there. And Ben Salzberg, who's been on the show with Carrie, he's the chairman of Oakton College. They're changing their name. It was Oakton Community College. They're going to Oakton College, and they're a fantastic school. They have a whole grant writing department.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And that's Ben brought us in to have that conversation where we learned our lesson and said, okay, we know not to focus in this direction now or waste any of our time there. Let's go this way.
Right.
But again, these are things you have to go out and learn, and you have to find out how you're going to learn them. So find out who reach out to people. Say, hey,
I mean, really, you and Deb are really gearing up for a lot of turn down. I mean,
you have to prepare,
right?
We expect success in the end.
Well, yeah, but you it's like stepping into the ring in a boxing match. I know I'm going to get punched in the face. I think I can win this, but I know I'm going to get punched in the face.
Yeah, you're stepping into a ring with a professional,
right?
Okay, and you're not,
right?
So, are you going to take your lumps? Absolutely, and prepare for it. Yeah,
right. But Mike Tyson always said everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. Well, part of your plan is we're going to get punched in the face, and we know it.
Yeah,
right.
It's true,
and we're going to learn. We're going to adjust. We're going to come back out in the next round and say, okay, we'll keep our guard up on this one.
Yeah, I mean, again, we're fortunate to have met so many amazing people and wonderful people that we have been provided a great deal of information, and we took notes, and we hold that in our pockets, and we're doing the classic old undersell and outperform.
Yeah.
Our pitch is very conservative to what we believe we can do.
Yeah.
And we're fine with that.
Yeah, and we've had Miss DeBetta Deno on. She's
Yes.
written that great book. I'm reading the book, the six steps or so. I forget what it is. It's a nice
Because
blue
I
cover.
haven't started reading it yet, so I'm in trouble. But
It's a nice blue cover. Anyway, the interesting thing is what you just said is part of what's in that book.
yeah,
And so it's amazing when you look at that and the way that you and Deb are um, positively moving in that direction and expecting just the amount of help that shows up is very, very interesting.
it's what can be fun. We talked about how there's a whole lot of people out there with negative
Yeah,
vibes, right?
juju. Yeah,
And telling you good luck.
mm-hmm.
Hope you don't screw this one up too, or whatever. That they'll say all kinds of things, but there's a whole great group of people out there that are in your corner as well.
Yeah,
They're excited. They're following this story, from the very beginning, and they're just excited to where we've gotten to in the short period of time, and where we're at, and so encouraging. And
Yeah.
and that is a slice of heaven.
It's huge.
Yeah. It's so wonderful to have positive people.
Yeah, it is.
Reach out, because it's easy to do the negativeness. I'll tell you that. I think everybody knows that. The 6 habits.
6 habits. That's it.
All right. I didn't want to leave you.
I was going to say steps, but yeah, the 6 habits.
She was going to get mad at me.
And I would tell you, I'm in about halfway into that. Amazing. It's an amazing book, but it's also a book that you got to sit there with a pad of paper and a mirror, because
it's partly why I haven't gotten to it yet. But I go shopping, and I'm in a Costco or something, and I go by the book section, and I kind of, I'm sad, because there's so many books that I want to read from authors that I used to love to read and haven't been able to. And I don't have time to pick up a book. I don't have time to read the Sunday comics.
Listen, you do. And that book is one you have to find time
for. I know, because then I plan on doing some more work with her. And so I know I have to do this book. And I have to, I believe I got to take a picture and send to Laura as she requested, because she's got some kind of marketing deal that she does with that.
That's right.
And I want to support that. But it's there's just, when you're doing this, there's 1,000 different things going on at any given moment, right? And you just have to be able to focus. And like I said, you get so laser focused that you actually you get past your demons.
Yeah.
Because we all have our demons, right? Am I good enough? Why me? Who do I think I am? Am I really going to be able to handle $5 million?
Yeah.
You can let those demons slip in, but to be honest with you, we're working so hard, so fast on this in so many different directions. I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
You just don't.
No.
You blow right past them.
That's it.
So it's just, it's interesting. And if folks are interested in learning more about how to make these pitches, you can definitely reach out to me, and I can help you. I can provide you with some information that would guide you to write your executive summary, to write your pitch deck, things of that nature. That was Deb's work. She did an amazing job.
It is awesome. Listen, folks, you've been tuned in 216net. This is Innovative Strategies with Bill Haase, all about financial literacy. Reach out to Bill at billhaase.com. And come back 12:30 today for questions you never thought you could ask in church. This is 216 the Net. We appreciate you tuning in, jumping on, and hanging out with us this morning. For all of us, until we meet again, be good, but more importantly, be good to one another.
You too, Thomas.